So this portion in Hanukah actually are moving in parallel lines. There's always, and in this time, in this invitation, there's always the question of what is the actual connection between spirituality and existence, spirituality and corporality. How actually those two unmeeting, completely opposing states actually meet. And it's a question of Hanukah. Talmud is asking, what is Hanukah? Why is asking, do they not know what is Hanukah? They're asking it because there is a problem what we're celebrating. Because if we're celebrating the big victory of small, zealous believers that overcome the greatest empire of that time, which was the Greeks, not only through the power, through the language of power of army and so on, but this rebellion actually sustained itself, or Judah sustained itself for 70 years. So basically, in let's say in the big perspective, it's a failure. So why celebrate something that failed? So this is what we are actually celebrating in Hanukah. The answer is not the movement in history, because if you will look at it, the only book, or the books, one can say, that records the historical events of that period, is the book of Maccabi, and it's called external books. They were not canonized to be the Bible. So they're outside, so it's an account of actually what is impressive to our will to receive to oneself. But what stayed internally is actually that the miracle was that although there was a heavy oppression on the mind, on the consciousness, they were able to find one canister. The importance is one canister of oil, of pure oil, with the seal of the high priest that was not touched. So basically, if we translate it, or we are saying that they were able to find the belief in the one, that actually could sustain and elevate them through the mind control of the philosophy, the highest point of human evolution in thinking. How can you actually, the miracle is that they could find above and beyond the peak of philosophy something which is higher, which is called belief, the higher mind. And they could believe when they saw the multiplicity, they could unite it to one, to hold it as the belief in the one. So this is basically a two version of what happens in Hanukah. And last generation need to actually join them. So as I understand, most of your question is to do with how actually spirituality speaks with corporality, or maybe the other way around. So we need to see that it is as well to do with the influence, okay, Joseph is going to Egypt, and Egypt starts to dream. Egypt as Pharaoh, because Pharaoh is Egypt. He's the god of. So before that, he did not. Greeks come to Israel and they translate to Greek the Bible. So there is a deep admiration of the Greeks to Israel Torah, and they try to assimilate it in the Alexandria library, one can say. Okay. So it will be same, whether, on the shelves of important for humanity, there'll be Aristo, Plato, Hillel, and Torah. So what's wrong with that? The question is, what actually it takes away from Torah. It actually brings us to the language of the human mind. It's not anymore the speech or the discourse of the higher or the creator. It's the highest elevation of human mind. And there is a huge difference between them. And what we're studying is trying to understand what actually the creator want or speak to us through the words, through our life, and even through our corporality. So actually what our sages wish to actually emphasize is that it was a spiritual victory in a way that it doesn't matter if in the corporal way 70 or 80 years later we lose ownership on the way we will conduct our life, but it was written, at least in the consciousness of everyone who wished to be Israel, that they can actually declare one can say their independence, or they can wish to go out of exile in their life. So this is the point, and then their existence can follow. So it's a declaration of a wish of a spiritual independence, of a sovereignty that actually will guide our life, whether we lose or win in a corporate life. Okay. We already won if we are able to declare an independent state of mind, spiritual state of mind. So there is, as you know, as well, the female aspect of Hanukah, which has to do with what actually start the movement of rebelling against the sovereignty and of the Greeks. So because one should ask oneself, what is till today the Western civil, let's say, history way of thinking is actually relying on the foundation of the great light of Aristo and Plato. So why their way of thinking, way of perceiving the world is actually dimming the light of Torah. Okay. So of course it has its all layers in human consciousness, because if if the perception of Greek philosophy, which is really the love of wisdom, is winning, what wins with it is the sense that human mind in itself can grasp and understand everything. And that belief is actually a degradation of, or a reminder of the limitation and the inability of the human mind and human consciousness to explain, one can say, an abstract ideas, or something which is beyond, in the world of the idea, or the world of the ideal. So it's actually dimming the light of belief that is above and beyond the human limitation. They're saying, because belief reminds us of our limitation, we'll put it down, we degrade it, and we put the human mind and its ability above. So of course it shed darkness on belief. Okay, it's clear. So actually claiming identity and sovereignty is against this Western-based thought. Is actually bringing back, or which is the miracle, finding this small can of oil, which is wisdom, which is sealed by a high priest, which is grace, which is higher intelligence, higher mind, which is the true definition of belief. This is the miracle, that through this darkness of self-made man, self-made consciousness of humanity, something in us is able to overcome it and declare that belief is a higher mind. It's a higher mind that comes from the plan of our evolution. It's not degrading us in terms, because it shows our limitation. It was designed to show our limitation so we will not stay in our limitation. Because if we trust only the development of ourselves, we will never be able to evolve, because it's a different vectors of power. This is development and this is to evolve. Okay? So belief has to do with evolution. Philosophy has to do, when it's rightly treated, has to do with development. So there always will be sort of a cross. I think the Greeks would be able to admit, or even to want to join, let's say, Torah, the Torah of Israel, on the same shelf of their wisdom, but they wanted to title it wisdom, human wisdom. Okay, so this is a rebellion, and the rebellion is to do with sovereignty of the body. What is the body of Israel? Yeah, the will of Israel. Yeah, which is being claimed by or Yehudit, or Hannah, or she's the daughter of Matityahu, or she's the daughter of Yochanan. It doesn't matter, but it's a lady. Okay? That actually declares the need of her own identity. In a big wedding. So what we're actually trying to sort out in ourselves at this time is actually to see if we truly able to declare that spirit, and not any spirit, not the spiritual definition of what is, let's say, the speech of the New Age on all its in all its department and levels. Are we able to see that which is real, or Israel, to be direct in our service, unwavering in our service, yeah, to grace, in order to increase grace in the world, not in order to mend it, but in order to change completely the reality of it. Actually, how our prayer will look, what will I would how the bill, or the scroll of our definition or declaration will look like. It's not from the age of innocence, it's not from the age of cynicism, it's something that did not happen yet. This is part of last generation and the importance of Hanukah. It's actually to initiate ourselves according to his way, or according to the Creator's way. And since we are going to declare that, if we wish to declare that, we need to make the effort to actually be able to understand it, to know the plan, or at least to be in contact with parts of the plan. And that is the offer of the Zohar and the Ari and Baal HaSulam. So it's nice to read other people that are around the line, but actually, in order to create a clear new language, we need this line, the line that was constructed actually, so we will be able to listen. I think maybe prayer has to do, in our generation, more with listening than in what we have to say or what we have to ask. First, we have to ask to be able to listen to his discourse, because we've been so busy in the last 300 years listening to our discourse. So initiating this house, this oneness, I think has to do more with listening and more with being able to contain and to unite in between us, so we will be able to listen than what was before. So this is for Hanukah. Is there any other question? If not, I would like to move to yeah. You'll have to ask it in English. Okay.
When you said prayer is more listening than to asking, so in Hebrew, הקשבה ומבקש is the same root.
Yeah.
just
true.
different combinations. So changing their position and
you're asking to be able to hear. It's very true. So I don't know if you heard Dudi saying that in Hebrew, if you look at the word keshev, it's actually in other order of the letters is the word to ask. Okay. So it has the two sides of it, because we really start the journey with not being able to feel the Creator, not being able to actually understand the role and the part that we need to play